Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'll be speaking on the essay structure for the OCR philosophy and ethics. I get asked quite a lot about the structure that I used in my exam, and I just wrote it down on a whiteboard and I thought I'd go through it with you guys. So I'm just gonna jump straight in. The question I have chosen is Kant offers the best approach to morality of business. So this question is looking at Kant and it's also looking at business ethics as well. So for both of them, it's an application question. We always look at the question, what is the question asking? The question states Kant offers the best approach to the morality of business. So the question is the best approach. So by asking for the best approach, the question is literally stating, is Kantian ethics applicable to business ethics or is it not? And usually for the section of applied ethics, when they talk about business ethics, you have to apply it to utilitarianism and Kantian ethics. So I just jump in straight. In the exam, it's a 40 marker, and in the exam, I tend to spend 5 to 7 minutes just to do a rough plan. Always plan your questions. Don't jump in to answer it. Always plan your questions, because by planning, you're in essence saying this is the direction I want to go, and it stops you from waffling as well. A lot of times if you don't plan, you just end up writing a lot and a lot, but your response isn't as precise as it should be. So I think planning is essential. Yeah, so for this question, I'll just show you the AO1 section that I've done here. I don't know, you can take a screenshot of that or something, but for the AO1, it's just like the basic for Kantian ethics. I know Kantian ethics is a deontological ethical theory which is objective and duty based. So for that, I would look at that in application to business ethics. And I would usually talk about I usually mention the categorical imperative. The thing with the normative ethical theories is the fact that for your AO1, a lot of people tend to inject every single thing they know about AO1, and that is not the essence of the question. You need to be able to answer the question effectively. So you don't have to talk about every single AO1 knowledge you know about Kantian ethics. I always pick out specific AO1 that I know is relatable to the question. Like for this one, I have picked out the categorical imperative and the duty-based reason of Kantian ethics. So I look at like the kingdom of ends, universalization, and for business ethics, I look at CSR, corporate social responsibility, and I also pick out globalization. And the case study I'll be applying it to is the 2013 Rana Plaza, which collapsed in Bangladesh. So that is my AO1 done. My AO1, I literally put a line in between a page. I write AO1, I pick up specific knowledge I want to apply to my question, and I move on to my AO2. So the question is asking, Kant offers the best approach to the morality of business. So by looking at the best approach and morality of business, I need to answer, is it the best or is it not the best? That is literally the two division. So you should be arguing, Kant offers the best, but it is not the best because of. And for the morality of business, we know morals has to do with the goodness and badness of it. Is it just? Is it equal? Is it fair? And looking at things like that, all those kind of like views and themes about morality. When I write my essays, I tend to do for and against in one paragraph. I don't do a massive chunk of it. I do for and against in one paragraph, then I go on to give like a different view, like just like a little against at the bottom, so I can then argue for it in the next one. I'll show an example here. So this is the plan right here. For this section is the plan that I made for the AO2 contains the most marks in the exam. So I tend to make sure that my AO2 is very, very good. And this includes using evaluative language. I can't stress enough how important evaluative language is. So evaluative language is like, to a greater extent, on the surface level, we can see that this is fair because, this is unfair because. Using evaluative language, you're justifying your actions. Why is this good? Why is it not good? It's not enough to just say, oh, it offers the best approach because universalization means it can be universalized to the world and then making it a better place. Like, that is good, but it's not good enough. You need to say it can be universalized to the whole world. And if businesses adopt this example, you can even give an example of a business and then say why this is then good and how it can be applied elsewhere. But moving back to the question, my first point, I'm arguing that Kantian ethics offers the best approach. I start by arguing Kantian ethics is deontological, which means it's rule-based, it's objective. The objectivity of Kantian ethics means that it's not flexible, it can't change, which is always a good thing, because when you have a deontological rule-based theory applied to business ethics, then there's consistency in the application to businesses. First, by arguing Kantian ethics offers the best approach due to its duty-based theory. For example, we know for Kantian ethics, it's a lot about the good of something, doing good because it is simply good, not looking at the end result. And if this is universalized to the rest of the world, the result would be consistent and achievable for everyone. So applied to business ethics, we can see that this will decrease exploitation. For example, I always give like a real life example in one of my paragraphs, and I'll say, for example, there are 250 million child laborers in the world. And if we apply Kantian ethics to businesses like big global chains, because child exploitation can never be universalized, Kantian ethics would not allow. Kantian ethics aims to universalize things. Everything should be universalized and they need to be good in themselves. And if this is applied to the whole world, it is an action that can be universalized. It prevents business from exploiting children, from exploiting their workers. There will be equal pay. Equal pay can always be universalized. There will be good working conditions for their workers. So that's Kantian ethics offers the best approach to the morality of business, because Kantian ethics offers to give just environment for workers. It seems to decrease exploitation of kids. Like, just always apply it to like real world situation, things that are happening at the moment. And I then go on to say, although Kantian ethics can be seen to offer the best approach to the morality of business, some would argue that it is simply unrealistic. For example, we see Kantian ethics aims to universalize things, aims to create a standard in the world, but then in essence, this is simply unrealistic. It's too utopic for a business. And then here I link in my scholar. For example, I use Milton Friedman. He's an economist, and he argues that the aim of a business is to make a profit. A business is not a form of socialism. So in essence, all businesses aim to make a profit. Where Kantian ethics is arguing for the universalization of good deeds, good things, he's saying at the end of the day, the business world is cutthroat, and if all businesses are seeking to universalize all these things, they will simply not make a profit. And at the end of the day, Kantian ethics focuses on this goodwill, the intrinsic goodness of actions, doing actions because they're simply good. But Friedman argues that realistically, this is not the aim of a business. A business is to make profit, and then this would even make you question. So if a business aim is to make money, if they're doing all these things like fair pay, is it truly good in itself, or is it just good on the surface level to make more profit at the end of the day? So for me, that would be like my second argument against it. And then in the next paragraph, and this is like 3 paragraphs now, in the 3rd paragraph, I go on to argue that although like people like Milton Friedman, they argue that Kantian ethics isn't realistic, but then although it's not realistic doesn't mean it shouldn't be an aim for us to go through. Kantian ethics offers the best approach because the business world is so not good at the moment. So we need a normative ethical theories which will promote businesses to do well. Although it's unrealistic, it's not an aim that we shouldn't go for. We can always still try. For example, especially now in our globalized world, we see globalization, and this is linking back to the business ethics point. We see that in our globalized world, global chains, global businesses have reached so far out. Like, I'll use McDonald's as an example. In every single part of the world that you go to, there's a varied form of McDonald's. anywhere you go to, the body shop, there's varied form of stores everywhere. Globalization is so far reaching, and by applying Kantian ethics to business, we can, as I said before, we can apply like a standard. It allows Kantian ethics in the categorical imperative, places an emphasis on the kingdom of goods, using ends. People are not a means to an end, and rather people should be ends in themselves. This will place such an emphasis on justice and also decrease exploitation, as I said before, because by looking at people as individuals in themselves, in essence, it restores humanity to people. In the business world where everything is so cutthroat, Kantian ethics allows us to step back and see people for who they are rather than just means or actual parts in business. And I always applied it. Rana Plaza case again, or in Bangladesh in 2013, where people were working under such inhumane environment. They were literally working hours on end, and the Rana Plaza, the building itself, was not secure, was not stable, but the people were forced to work because they had to make a profit, and the building ended up collapsing. And businesses like Walmart, people made clothes for businesses within there. So if Kantian ethics is applied, it would offer the best approach, because things like this can be avoided, exploitation can be avoided, injustice can be avoided in the business world. So I can then argue that although Milton Friedman is saying it's unrealistic, it is still an aim that should be sought out for, because although it might not be able to be applied to people, there's always a corporate social responsibility that these businesses have to try their best and ensure that their workers are working in good, stable environments. And yeah, that would be my second point. And where the question is an application question, you can then go on to use utilitarianism to contrast this. And then in my next paragraph against, I'll be like, Kantian ethics does not offer the best approach to the morality of businesses. Rather, utilitarianism provides the best approach. Where utilitarianism is not a deontological ethical theory, rather its flexibility would allow businesses to calculate their losses and their gains. So especially for in ethics, the application question, you need to be able to apply real life situations and real life scenarios to question and also answer them effectively. Don't inject every single AO1 knowledge you have, rather pick the knowledge specifically and then apply it. In terms of the revision for the content, I think you need to make your evaluation, make your AO1 work for your AO2. Make sure you're applying it enough, and also keeping real life examples and using your evaluative language as well. Evaluative language is one of the most important things you could possibly use. So making sure your evaluative language is consistent, and you're always asking why this is effective because. But yeah, in the conclusion, I generally answer. I could finish the conclusion by saying ultimately, Kantian ethics offers the best approach because. Then I give the reasons why. I basically summarize each one of my paragraph, and I just give a quick maybe 4 or 5 line explanation, and then I then go on to say, although utilitarianism might offer this solution, utilitarianism is simply unpredictable. The actions can't be applied to the business world, which is constantly evolving and changing, and so might not be why it's effective. Or you can even argue that both Kantian ethics and utilitarianism are both not effective at all, and you can explain the reason why. I just feel like in the conclusion, just have a strong, stable explanation, or you can write, to a greater extent, Kantian ethics offers a better approach to the morality of businesses in comparison to business ethics. So I think taking these applications can really help in ensuring you deliver a good essay and a well-structured essay. Remember, you don't inject everything you know, rather you pick specifically what you want to talk about and make sure it is well designed to your topics. And I think that is the end of this for me, and hopefully this helps you. If you have any questions, you can ask below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah.